Relatives of Chinese passengers on board missing airliner MH370 are demanding compensation. And on Monday, a court in Beijing began hearings on the matter. More than 150 Chinese passengers were on board the ill-fated flight when it took off from Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing on the 8th of March 2014. It never completed the journey, disappearing somewhere over the southern Indian Ocean. No one knows where or why. It's one of aviation's most baffling disappearances. Relatives of those on board have been demanding answers for nearly 10 years now, and they also want the search for the plane to continue.
Security is tight outside the courthouse, where the MH370 families once again face official hurdles in their quest for justice. Some relatives are barred from attending the hearing, but many hope they'll finally get some relief and a new search.
Our original intention has never changed. That is to find the aircraft and the passengers. We will insist on this as always. As to financial compensation, there are relevant rules in the law of our country. We believe the court will make a fair judgment.
Chinese state media says more than 40 families have filed for civil compensation and moral damages, seeking up to 15 million euros each. And they're suing Malaysia Airlines, the Allianz Insurance Group, Boeing, and Rolls-Royce for that compensation. Details of the lawsuit remain unclear, but it appears that families blame Malaysia Airlines for failing to try and find the plane after it disappeared from air traffic control on March 8, 2014. Relatives say debris discoveries are also a reason to restart a search. More than 30 suspected pieces have been found around the world. So far, 3 wing fragments have been confirmed to be from MH370. It's believed the Boeing 777 plunged into the southern Indian Ocean, but months of intense searching have found no sign of where the plane went down. In a 2018 report, investigators said the plane was likely deliberately taken off course, but they were not able to determine who was responsible. For the families, what happened on flight MH370 is an agonizing mystery, and its answer, up until now, remains lost with their loved ones.
And joining me now for more is correspondent Fabian Kretschmer in Beijing. Fabian, do we know what exactly the families want?
Yes, because despite the heavy police presence around the court building, some of the family members were actually quite eager to talk to the press. And what they said is they basically have 3 big demands. One is that they want to continue psychological assistance and counseling for the relatives. Secondly, they also want to set up a new fund and basically start a new search, a new investigation into what really happened with the plane, because after all those years, the main parts of the plane have not been found yet, so they want to discover the truth. And thirdly, they want financial compensation. We don't know the official numbers, but according to Chinese state media, the compensation amounts range from roughly 1.4 million US dollars till 11-12 million US dollars. That's what we know.
We're talking about a plane that disappeared nearly 10 years ago, MH370. Why has this lawsuit taken such a long time?
Because when the court was asked for a statement, they did not react. So we don't know much like official details around this case. But to give you the bigger picture, I mean, there was a year-long search and to find the plane and also give an explanation why this plane crashed or disappeared. And many of the relatives of the victims, they themselves, they've been flying all around the world, sometimes proactively, hiring investigators, asking questions, etc. And I think that this hearing now takes place basically shows that they're very dissatisfied with the status quo. They don't accept the official explanation. They don't want that this tragedy remains a mystery. mystery. They also argue that now with the new technology they can maybe find out what happened, and they don't want to accept that they will have to live with a mystery.
The families are demanding compensation, but the families of more than 110 passengers have already been granted compensation. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes. So roughly 150 Chinese citizens were on this plane. And as you mentioned, 110 families, they've already settled down for compensation. We know that the sum that they were getting is much lower than what the families now are demanding. So many of the families have received around $300,000, at least according to media reports. And now the numbers are significantly higher. So now the families are demanding at least 1 million and some even much more.
The families are suing big international companies. You're talking of Malaysia Airlines, Boeing, Rolls-Royce and Allianz Insurance. To what extent would a ruling in China be binding? I mean, does a Chinese court have international jurisdiction?
I mean, this is really the crucial question, and to my understanding, no, it does not have. Why? I mean, we know that there were several lawsuits happening in the US, and the US courts have always dismissed those claims, and they said that the cases should be handled by the Malaysian legal system. And from my understanding, it's quite difficult for a Chinese court to really enforce any kind of ruling. So maybe you could even say that the trial hearings have a high, symbolic nature, but whether they can, the ruling can actually be enforced, can be legally binding, I would highly doubt that.
As you said earlier, Fabian, the families are calling for a new search. Does their cause have the backing of the Chinese government?
Well, you can argue at least indirectly. For example, the government allowed this hearing to take place. I think that's already a sign. We know that what lands in court and what not is highly regulated. But we also have one official statement by the foreign ministry here in Beijing, and they said that they follow closely, the court and the hearings, and they hope that it will be settled properly. You can argue that this is kind of an indirect support for the claims of the families, and I also interpret this that they want to put themselves or align themselves with the public opinion here in China, because many Chinese online users, the citizens here, they're also not satisfied with the official explanation. They think there must be more to it. They also have the hope that the truth can be uncovered. So I see that really the government is basically aligning itself with the public opinion here.
We'll leave it there for the time being, but thank you so much for joining us today. Fabian Kretschmer speaking from Beijing. Thanks so much.